in some way. All right, we're going live. Hello and welcome, everyone. Dr. Rob Kiltz with Coach Bronson Keto. Welcome, my friend. And listen, this guy is amazing. For over 10 years, it sounds like you've been in the fitness area. You have a book called The Ultimate Ketogenic Fitness Book. You're in the CrossFit. You talk about keto. It sounds like you also talk about carnivore. Welcome and thank you for joining me today on some conversations with Kiltz. And how are you, my friend?
I'm doing fantastic, man. You're right. I do all of that stuff. CrossFit, carnivore, lift weights, try to just live better in general.
And I met you at the New Jersey meetup with Lisa Wiedemann, Carnivore Doctor, and that was fantastic. Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, and a little bit how you got into the fitness, health, and wellness arena.
Yeah. How much time do we have? Because this could be a while.
Well, with 10 hours, but we do this in about an hour plus or minus. If I bore you too much, we're done. But if we go a little longer, there's not an exact time to this.
Okay.
Yeah, keep going.
No. So yeah, ready, set, go. So I'm 50. I just turned 50 this year. I've been carnivore for a little over 4 years. And I started the journey of really realizing where I needed to go, what was happening with my life in my late 30s. So I didn't get started on this fitness, health, quality of life experience until I was almost 40 years old. I was overweight. I was almost 250 pounds. Thought I was in shape when I really wasn't. I had a picture in my head of this fit ex-military guy who was, 18 years old, 175 pounds, and could do anything. And that's not where I actually was. So I had a handful of things happen over a period of time that kind of awakened me and kind of made me face where I was actually at in real life, not just this image I had in my head. And so I started on the fitness side of things. I did things a little backwards. Like I knew I probably should stop doing things like eating, 3-4 servings of French fries every day, because I used to do that. I used to go to Red Robin for lunch every day, and that was what I did. And then I started kind of saying, okay, what do I need to do for fitness? I looked at some programs, I joined some things, went on a cruise around my 40th birthday, met a guy that did CrossFit, and he introduced me to that whole thing. I fell in love with that. So that was kind of the direction I went. So I started doing CrossFit as really the biggest initial change in my journey to improving everything about my life. Did that for a while, got certified, started coaching. I've always had a passion for coaching and teaching and things like that. And then opened up a gym in 2014 and ran that for about 4 or 5 years, almost 6 years, actually. Right before COVID, I sold it and went online and started doing things there. So it was during the time that I owned a CrossFit gym that I had another kind of epiphany, a realization of I still wasn't where I wanted to be. I still had IBS. I still had urgent bowels. I still had health issues. My life was still run by my body instead of me running my body to live my life. And there were just a lot of things, even visually, like I was still overweight. I still had extra body fat. And being the owner of a CrossFit gym is like, how do I get people to come to my gym when I look the way that I look? So it was really a hard time for me. And around that time, I found carnivore. I was introduced to the carnivore diet and started doing I heard about it, read up on it, did some research, watched some videos. And then 3 days, it was 72 hours. And I said, okay, that's what I'm doing. So May 1st, 2018, I just started eating whatever was in the house. Took me a few days, ran out of what was in the house, went to the store, bought a bunch of meat, and just have been doing it ever since then. So I have really taken a lot of time over the past 4+ years to try and understand how the carnivore diet works. What are the aspects conceptually about the ketogenic diet, carnivore, and why it's successful? And then kind of combine that stuff into fitness, mindset, and in living a healthy lifestyle.
So what's your sense of how this CrossFit keto world, and obviously you were doing all the workout, you were doing all the exercise, but it wasn't working. It sounds like you were suffering from many things that I suffer from, bowel problems, skin problems, joint problems, mental problems. How is it, and what was the way that you sort of went into this, and exactly what is it you chose to eat, and what is your sense of why it works?
Yeah. So I literally just jumped right into it. I didn't even do. I literally was like, okay, I'm starting today, and then okay, what do we have in the house? Well, we had the first couple of days. It was we had sausage, we had bacon, we had eggs, we had some ground beef, and I just ate myself out of all that stuff. So it was whatever was there. So and that kind of the thing that I think a lot of people, particularly when we put names on things, is we get stuck into it has to be a certain way instead of looking at what's important. And what's important about the carnivore diet, the number one reason why it works is because you're removing crap. To me, that's it. You're removing crap and you're replacing it with things that your body can use. So whether you're removing if you're removing crap, I don't care if you're eating sausage. If you're removing crap, I don't care if you're eating bacon. If you're removing crap, I don't care if you're eating ribeye, lamb, chicken, ostrich, whatever it may be. Remove the crap first, and then that's step number one in any path forward. So I think that's probably the biggest thing. It's more about eliminating the things that are doing harm than anything else.
And do you have what's your particular nutrition style today, and how do you coach people that are having the physical challenges, and do you create menus and things like that?
Yeah, no. So I don't actually do any menus or meal plans. What I do is I try to help people understand how food is used in the body. So there's basically I break it down into what I call functional calories and fuel calories. So our body uses food not for calories, it uses it for nutrition. We don't live off of calories. So I just did a video recently where I talked about like we don't eat calories. We need to stop saying I got X number of calories in a day. You didn't get calories in. Calories are just a number. You either got nutrients or you didn't, period. So what your body does with what you eat is way more important than the calories that are assigned to that food. And understanding that in order to function, your metabolic function is determined by protein. It's not determined by fat or carbs. That is a fuel. It's like if I take my car and I go to the mechanic and I say, hey, my car's not running well. Can you fix it? And he says, well, you've been putting leaded gas in your car for the past 5 years. And then he takes that out and puts regular unleaded fuel in and my car's running great. He didn't improve the performance of my car. He didn't fix my car. He just put the right fuel in it so it would function the way it wanted to function to begin with, right? If I want to improve my car, then I need to change the oil. I need to change the transmission fluid. I need to change the spark plugs. I need new tires. I need to keep my brake pads functioning. Like that's where protein comes in. Protein keeps the machinery working, and fuel just provides fuel. So when you look at breaking the calories, if you want to call them calories, into what your body actually does, it's function and it's fuel. And that's kind of the basis of where I start people looking at stuff.
And so in your coaching world, so let's see, you were in a brick and mortar gym at one point.
At one point, yep.
And you weren't doing online at the time.
Correct.
And tell us a little bit about the journey from brick and mortar to the mystery of the magic world of online.
Yeah, so brick and mortar is awesome. I love it. I love getting that one-on-one personal contact, working with people, seeing how they move, helping them understand what their body can do, and pushing through the challenges of I don't think I can do this. So being part of that process with somebody and having them have the realization of, wow, I did that. That means maybe I can do more, and having them grow in the ability to try new things is fantastic, because that's where what I say fitness is freedom. And the ability of your body to do things is what determines your longevity. It's what determines quality of life. It determines how well we can live independently for as long as possible. So your physical ability and my ability in the one-on-one setting to help people with that is fantastic. I did feel at one point that I was limited in my scope and ability to help people because I was locked into one location, right? I could only help people when I was there helping people. And that was really one of my big factors in trying to go online and helping people understand that it doesn't have to be complicated. It's easy. It's a 1% difference, right? So just do 1% more than you're doing now, and you're going to see progress. So going online has been really, it's been amazing, because I feel like I've been able to expand and grow and get my message out there a lot more to people. And I still get enough feedback to feel like I'm engaged with the people that I'm working with. They have a coach. One of the things about my programs is, unlike a lot of other challenges, coaching programs, apps, all those different things, which I do all those things, it isn't something where you sign up, you get a piece of paper, and then you go do your workouts, right? There's a community aspect, which I love about the brick and mortar piece, right? You get to work out with people. In my stuff on the virtual side, you may not be physically with somebody, but we have a community that you can access where you can do a workout and then post about it, and someone can say, hey, great job. Then you have access to me as your coach. So I have hundreds of people that I work with, but I tell every single person, I want you to look at me as your coach, right? I'm not just a guy who's running a program. If you have a question, you can come to me and I'll answer that question for you.
It's interesting because I'm always thinking about this, and one of the downsides of doctors in the healthcare system is we're sort of this levels of, I tell you what to do, you do it. We should be more like coaches and cheerleaders, where we're working with our community and individuals and more to help inspire them.
Yeah, and
tell us a little bit about how you some of your clients, someone that you've sort of taken from, wow, this is too hard, I can't do it, to like, whoa, they did it.
Yeah, my mom.
My
mom. So my mom's been my longest client. And I love talking about her because I started working with her in personal training when she was 60. And she was never worked out, never had done anything. Maybe had done some Denise Austin videos in the living room back in the 80s. That was about it, leg warmers and all of that. And, so she did it more out of two areas that she decided to work with me. One, she had gotten a bone scan and was told that she was osteopenic. She was pre-osteoporotic, and that she needed to fix her bone density. And then the other one was, I was opening a gym and she wanted to support her son. So she figured, okay, I'll do something to work with him. So all those things kind of coincided together. We worked out for several months, one-on-one. She got up the courage to say, okay, maybe I'll try a class. So she started going to some classes. And now she's 68, 69 years old. It's been almost 10 years. She's got a gym in her basement. She works out religiously 3-4 days a week. Her favorite thing to do is deadlift. Whenever she's doing my program and we haven't deadlifted in a couple of days, she's like, when are we deadlifting, Bronson? So seeing her progression of being someone who was frail and timid and afraid to even walk into a gym, to where now she's getting ready to retire from her career and she's thinking about, maybe I want to be a fitness coach, right? So that progression of where she's at, and just me not having to worry about when she's 70, 75, 80 years old, will she be able to take care of herself? Right. So I think that's just probably the best example I can think of.
How do we keep people inspired? Because, and I know for even myself, who's pretty motivated to move and do things, some days it's like, oh, let's see, I don't know. Because that, and I know that if it's my Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, or Mighty Tribe, someone's poking the bear. It tells us a little bit how that inspiration works.
Yeah, I think there's so many layers to that inspiration, right? So we know that action breeds motivation. It's not the other way around. If you don't get motivated by thinking about doing something, you get motivated by doing something. So that's number one. You've got to start doing something. Action wins every single time, whether you feel like it or not. What the excitement and the joy, there is nothing more exciting than living the life that you want to live. So if you're not living that, there's your motivation. There's your reason for doing something, because you have to keep in mind, in the front of your mind at all times, who do I want to be? And am I living the life that matches that identity? Right. That's what got me when I first started, right? I wanted to be this fit, young, seemingly young. I was almost 40 at the time, this fit guy who felt like he could do anything, who looked good, who when I walk into a room, people go, man, that guy's in shape, or whatever it may be. And then when I saw a picture of myself sitting on the beach and I looked like a beach whale, right? I'm sitting there with my gut hanging out. I got man boobs. I'm like, what in the world? No, that's not what I want. So I realized that my reality and my identity didn't match. And one of them needed to change. And I wasn't going to change who I wanted to be. So I had to change what I did in my reality to make it match. And that's really the biggest thing. If you're stuck, if your challenges are always going to outweigh the reason you're doing something, if the reason you're doing something has no emotional connection. I tell people all the time, dig into your why. I think when you talked to Nat the other day about, I'm sure you guys talked about the why and how important it is to get into the why, and going through maybe the seven levels of why exercise of asking yourself, why do you want this? Okay, if that's your reason, why do you want that? And just keep digging and digging and digging. And I tell people, you're digging a well until you get to where that spring of emotion bubbles up. And that emotion can be joy, it can be excitement, it can be sadness, it can be anger, it can be shame, it has to be tied to something emotional, because your challenges are tied to something emotional. We don't eat food that's bad because we want the bad food. We want that bad food because it makes us feel a certain way. And if we lose track of why we're doing it, it's because we haven't maintained that emotional connection for why we're doing what we want to do. So the emotion of what you're doing and why you're on this journey has to outweigh any challenges that you're going to face.
What's been your biggest challenge in life?
In life? That's a long one. We don't have time for that. On this journey.
Well, it's all about this journey for sure. Yeah, there are many challenges in life, but in this journey, what's been your biggest challenge?
That's
how do you look to overcome it?
Yeah, I think for me, my challenge might be a little different than what most people would expect, because I'm a coach. My challenge is really in finding what works and experimenting on myself, and being okay with my own personal goals potentially getting offset by my goals for bettering my knowledge and experience. So there are things that I do for myself that I test that go completely against my own personal philosophies and methodologies, and set me in a direction that I may not want to go with body composition, performance, whatever it may be. So I have to put my own desires and goals aside, because the bigger picture of me gaining the experience and being able to say, I've done that, so I can talk on that, is more important than my specific goal. So for me, it's a little different, I think, but it's kind of similar in, we all have goals, and we all have to understand that we go through periods of time where goals change. And I was just talking to somebody about this the other day, is that, don't get offended when someone tells you that the reason you're not having success is because you don't want it bad enough. Because that's part of life. There may be things in your life right now that are more important than your health and fitness. And if you are aware of that, that's step number one. If you're aware of that and you're making that choice consciously, then you have to accept that and be okay. Now, if you're not aware of it and you're hearing that for the first time and you're like, oh crap, this is a change I need to make, then accept that, make the change, and move forward. There's no need to get defensive. There's no need to take that as an insult, in that I'm doing something wrong because I haven't made my health a priority. You just haven't made your health a priority. Either now that you know, you have an option. Do I want to, or do I not? And it's a similar thing for me when it comes to looking at all these different things that I can be playing around with. I want to try this new nutrition protocol, or I want to try this new fitness protocol, or whatever it may be, realizing that that's probably going to set me off in a direction different than where I personally want to go. But I have to choose the priority and make that decision and be okay with it.
So the challenges are unique and different for all of us, and we have to figure out what's the most important thing.
Yep.
And sometimes some other things get sort of sidetracked because something else is more important.
Yeah.
In this journey, what is your sort of overriding most important tasks that you're asking your community, your clients to focus on? Is there something that you sort of put as the priority of the things that they can do to sort of help get them where they want to go?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is to stop thinking about fitness as a fat loss tool. Fitness has nothing to do with fat loss. I talk about this all the time, is that nobody wants to lose weight just because they want to lose weight. Weight loss is not the motivating factor. Weight loss is the superficial first level why. There's a reason underneath that. That's something that is emotional, something that is affecting your quality of life, something that is limiting you or causing you to feel like you have a lack of independence or freedom. And you are attributing that to being overweight. So you think if I lose the weight, then all of these other things in my life are going to get better, right? And I tell you what, it's not. It will help. It will help maybe give your mindset a shift, and it will get you moving in a direction of self-improvement, which is always a good thing. But weight loss is a symptom of something much bigger. And if you focus on weight loss and that's all you focus on, and what I mean by focus on weight loss is if you're looking at calories, if you're watching your weight, if you're exercising to lose weight, if every decision that you make is about, is this going to help me lose weight? Then you're going to be doing it for the rest of your life. And you're going to hit a wall over and over and over again because you haven't fixed the issue, which is your metabolism and how your body's functioning. And that's the biggest thing I want people to understand, is that fitness and health are the same thing. Just because we use triglycerides, A1C, lipid panels, and all those other things to measure health doesn't mean that strength, endurance, stamina, and flexibility aren't also factors of health. They're all part of the same thing. They're all biometrics. They're all biofeedback that indicate how well your body's performing. And you can't live with just one or the other. You need both.
So you had mentioned that you had suffered from some bodily disorders, and I'm assuming they've mostly resolved.
Oh yeah, all done.
And so I guess the question always is what's the best measure of health and wellness? Is it the absence of those disorders? Is it being able to lift 200 pounds deadlift or more?
I think it really has to do at the core. I think health is how well can you live your life? I think that's at the core, because we can measure things all day long and they may or may not indicate that something is quote unquote wrong. I'm never going to lift 500 pounds. I don't need to lift 500 pounds. The fitness, the nutrition, the lifestyle, the things that you do from a training and habits and routine perspective should be supporting the lifestyle that you want to live. In exercise science, we call it the SAID principle. Specific adaptation to imposed demands. Your body will adjust to the things you make it do. So if I want to live life that's based off of X, Y, or Z, then I need to do things that make X, Y, or Z possible. And I think that's kind of really the bottom line. Like, I think my A1C is 5.7 right now. So if you talk to some doctors, you're going to say, well, you need to be careful because you're pre-diabetic, but I'm at 10% body fat. I have over 51% lean skeletal muscle mass on my body. I have no other markers from a medical perspective that show any indication of there being anything wrong. So to me, that measure, that doesn't mean squat to me. Like, I'm good, You feel great.
Yeah. And interesting enough, I'm not sure that any of our markers are very good. We're piss poor at marking when people get lymphomas or cancers or heart disease or anything. So my sense is, and I'm just wondering about you went into this world to in CrossFit, it sounds like, for physique and bodybuilding and looking good. And it sounds like there's sort of been a shift as a coach that it's not about looking good, but it's about finding the thing that you really want to succeed at. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sort of, yeah. It's not necessarily about looking good. Looking good is always going to be on the list. Anybody that tells you otherwise is completely being dishonest to themselves and you, right? Looking good is always going to be on the list. We all want to look good. So we can't say that that's not, aesthetics is not part of the equation. But for me, initially, it was more about what could I do, and feeling like I had the ability, and seeing the progression of strength and function. And I pride myself on, getting started in CrossFit in my 40s and being more flexible than people that are younger than me, being more capable than people that are younger than me. So for me, it was more about physical ability and performance. Because honestly, until I got my nutrition right, my looks didn't change that much. I was still a fat CrossFitter, right? I could do more, and I was more capable. I was stronger. I was more flexible. I could do stuff, but I still didn't look. Like I said, I owned a gym for about 2 years, about halfway into owning my gym, almost 3 years in. I went to a pool party with some members of the gym. We had a pool party at one of their homes, and I saw a picture of myself jumping into the pool. I was like, oh my God, that's the same guy from 6 years ago. Like, wait a second, what's going on? This doesn't make sense. And that kind of really is like, okay, I got to do something else. That's where the nutrition kind of really kicked in. I was like, okay, this is the next level from a composition and how I look perspective. But the shift is really when I understood, and this happened when I owned my gym. I did things traditionally: calories in, calories out, surplus, deficit. You have to get fat to get strong. You have to get skinny to get lean, or you have to get weak to get lean. It's eat less. If you want to get lean, you have to be starving yourself. If you want to get strong, you have to stuff your face. Like, I went through all that. It was all about what's on the scale. When I owned my gym, I got exposed to in-body body composition scanners. I actually bought one for the gym and started looking at things that had nothing to do with calories, right? I started looking at, wait, so you can see what body fat is doing versus what lean mass is doing versus how hydration affects your weight versus, I started getting into what the body's made of instead of just one number on how much the body weighs. And that really woke me up to, there's more to fitness, and there really is a combination of health and how the body performs. Because when you start seeing lean mass go up, then you start seeing BMR go up, base metabolic function improves, right? And then you see those same people who are like, well, I've dropped my insulin dosage. It's like, okay, well, wait a second. Your weight hasn't changed, but your insulin's going down. Well, it's because they built muscle. So they added some pounds, but their body's requiring less insulin because they're now utilizing glycogen more because they have more lean mass. Like, seeing all of these buttons and lines and circles and things start to make connections is where I made the connection. And the change was that fitness and health are the same thing. You can't separate the two of them.
And what other areas, though, besides the physical and the nutritional, do your clients and do you share on other ways of improving their lives?
Yeah, very similar to what some of the stuff Nat does, getting into the motivations, understanding why you're doing it, understanding that you can't do it by yourself. So having what I call a beginner's mindset is one big thing. We go into things. I don't understand what it is about health and nutrition. We hire mechanics, we hire electricians, we hire plumbers, we hire computer techs to fix these things, right? But as soon as something's wrong with our body, we think we can Google it and answer all the questions ourselves. Or we go to our doctor about nutrition stuff, and our doctors, unfortunately, people need to know, our doctors don't know anything about nutrition. They're, you can attribute it, right? You're taught what medicines to give people and things like that. There isn't a lot of understanding how the body works from the nutrition and intake, and even fitness as well. I know tons of doctors, and many doctors don't know much about fitness and how to actually impact the improvement in physical performance in people. So I think that's understanding that you can't go into it thinking you know everything, and have an open mind and being willing to try and learn. At the same time, it's a balance, because you can't try everything, and you don't need to listen to 8 different people, and they can get confused because Dr. Kiltz says this, and Coach Bronson says this, and Dr. Barry says this, and Kelly Hogan says this, and right. I mean, that's a big part of what I do as a coach, is I help people filter and apply context to information, because all the people that are out there are giving information based on their experience, their focus, where they're coming from, what they've been exposed to, and who their demographic is, right? You have a different demographic maybe than I do, right? Dr. Westman has a completely different demographic than what I do. Dr. Boz, very different demographic. So the methods and the protocols that we use are different, but I can help you figure out where you fit and which one's going to make the most sense for you.
So it is, there's so many opinions. You got to find the one that feels right and looks right. The question always comes, is there the right answer out there? And the answer is infinite.
Yes. Right.
It's really what it is.
And because it's also infinite for you, because what's right for you now isn't going to be right a year from now. It's going to change.
It's always changing. And so I guess that's part of my question. How has what you've done in all of this changed? Besides the nutrition and because change, how do you deal with the changes always coming down the pike?
Yeah. The plan changes, but the goal remains the same. You're going to be like this all over the place. But if you're still trying to meet that vision, and my vision is to get as many people to learn about how fitness and nutrition are required to have the best quality of life. It's about physical freedom. So whatever I can do, whatever platform I'm on, whatever type of media, whether it's video, written, audio, whatever, the message is nutrition is going to get you to a certain level. You need fitness to extend your life and live a quality of life. You need them both. And that's really been the change in my message. It used to be work out as hard as possible. Then it used to be, well, if you want to get lean, then this is how you eat. And now it's become that progression of understanding that all of those things are factors in living the best life you can. And that's where I'm at right now.
So motion is motivating, Zach Bitter, and I like yours, basic action. And the more you move, the more you feel better. And too much of our lives have been built in, at the end of the day, you go to the market, you grab all the food, the beer, the wine, the whatever it is, you go home, you eat it up, you sit and you watch TV.
Yep.
I don't even know what that is anymore, which is kind of part of our stagnation and our sickness. And as a medical doctor, we are trained to diagnose diseases, to use drugs, dissections, and then manage disease, because ultimately it's something that just doesn't go away because you're just predisposed to have this genetically. Yep. And that's our problem. So how do we inspire people? Because it's really about inspiration. And the whole intention of these conversations is for us to find inspiration every day. And I know for me, I was really good at, what'd you watch last night? Like even if you're listening and watching what we're doing, I have people that are listening and watching while they're taking their walk, they're going here and there. How do we inspire people to get out of their comfort zone of the couch and get to the coach zone?
To just keep doing what we're doing, right? The more we put our story out there, and then I think inspiring or getting other people to share their stories. That's one of the things I love about my community and my Facebook group and the challenges that I run. I really encourage people to share their story. I have a coach mentor group. We get together once a month where people that may be interested in becoming coaches or just have someone that's asked them questions they don't know how to answer. So, being able to provide a resource to say, look, every single one of us has an impact on people around us, whether we know it or not, and making people aware that you are affecting lives and you can affect more lives if you share your story. So it's not about, just looking at, I want to turn everybody into an influencer, although secretly I do, because I think we already are influencers. It's just how much we realize that and how much we're willing to put ourselves out there. But just every time I get a chance to talk about my mom, or I get my mom on a video, or something happens and someone gets a chance to meet her and hear her story, somebody is like, oh my God, that is so motivating. I don't have any excuses anymore. And I talk to her and I'm like, Mom, we need to get you a YouTube channel. We need to get you out there speaking and doing stuff. And she's like, why would anybody want to listen to me? And it's like, because you're a real person who's done this, who's been through this, who's still doing it, who still has challenges. Just like me, I still have challenges. We're still on this journey. And the more people that share that journey, the more people realize they're not alone. the more people realize that if so-and-so's done it, that means I might be able to do it. And we take away excuses and we give people hope. So I think for me, community and sharing what's going on with ourselves is key to helping people stay motivated.
Right. So how do we continue to inspire people to coach, be a coach, coach others? It's like learning, let's see, you said a beginner's mind. I'm thinking babies' minds. We all start our babies, and eventually we all become, so many of us, not everyone, but parenting. We're either parenting ourselves or someone else. But right, that's the journey, continuously growing and learning to teach others what we've learned on the journey of the right, the wrong, the good, the bad, the easy, the hard.
Yeah,
that's so much about that. What would you say is a little bit about your besides your mom, because I know our moms and dads are our best inspiration in some way.
Yeah.
What's been one of your biggest, or who's been your biggest influencer or inspiration out there?
Wow, there's been a handful. I'll be honest with you, right now, Gary Vee is at the top of my list. I cannot stop listening to that guy. The positivity that he puts out there and the way that he is passionate about being himself and being true to his own message and not giving a crap about what anybody else thinks or says has really helped me take the next level to do what I'm doing now. Like I have a past when I was younger of, not abuse, but socially not being accepted. I'm mixed. So the white side of the street didn't really accept me and the black side of the street didn't really accept me. I had to kind of figure out where my place was. So I've always had issues of inferiority and dealing with where is my place and do I belong here? So coming up through this and educating myself and realizing that no one else is going to do it if I'm not doing it. The message that I have, I feel like, is somewhat unique in trying to bring these two worlds together, fitness and nutrition. And listening to Gary Vee has just really made me say, look, I don't have anything to lose, right? Just take the leap, do what you feel is true to who you are. And if it connects with people, then it connects with people. If it doesn't, then it doesn't, but you have nothing to lose either way. So that's I think he's probably been my biggest inspiration over the past couple of years.
Yeah, I used to watch Gary Vee all the time. It's been a while, but so we all, don't we all feel less in some way?
Oh, for sure.
And I think maybe that's the hidden part of the journey. We always think that someone else, wow, they're so smart, they know how to do this, they're so confident, but essentially we just don't know the truth, that we're all feeling less and incapable and have failures and faults. And how do we open up about all those stories and just talk about them and it's okay.
Getting other people to do that, I think, again, it starts with us doing it ourselves. We have to be willing to be open and verbal about the struggles that we have, because then it lets other people know that it's okay to talk about things that are hard.
And in your current goal-driven world of online coaching or wherever you're at, do you have any particular, like, oh man, I haven't done this and I'd really love to do that, and I'm going to jump into that?
Yeah. So there's a few things as far as like things that I want to work on. I want to have a coaching program where I actually help develop other coaches. That's definitely something that's on my to-do list at some point in time, where I can have a course, I can have a mentorship, I can have a platform and tools and all the different things to help people help other people. I'm a firm believer, and this is one of the things that I picked up that I learned when I owned my gym is, I talked about I felt limited and I only had one location that I could work at personally. But when I had coaches that I hired and trained, and I had some that were competent, it took a lot of that stress off of me, because then I could impart my message and my concepts and methodologies to them, and then trust them to take those to people when I wasn't there. So doing the same thing virtually and finding a way to help educate and motivate people to spread the word more is definitely something I'm passionate about. So getting into where I'm helping coaches help coaches coach people and get through all the same stuff that I'm doing with people now one-on-one or in groups is at some point in the next I don't know if I can say near future, but in the future.
Do you have anything that's been your biggest failure?
Biggest, my fitness app when I first started doing it. So I developed an app. I partnered with some people. And basically it's a virtual fitness app. You download an app on your phone, you get workouts pushed to you 5 days a week, videos, details, all kind of stuff. And I still have that. But when I first did it, it was, I was doing it based off of trying to partner with big name influencers and then brand it under their brand. And I had a couple people that I was working with. It was getting started. It was kind of picking up and it was looking like it was doing well. But what happened, what I didn't make the connection is that it was my program. So even though they put their brand on it, it was my program. So it didn't mesh with their message. It didn't mesh with their authenticity. So it didn't actually go. It didn't really go anywhere. So I ended up having to learn from that and say, okay, if I'm going to do this, I have to do it under my brand. So then I kind of started all over again from scratch and said, look, this is going to happen. It's going to happen under my message, my name, and my authenticity. I'm not going to try to leverage somebody else's.
I think there's so much out there that we're learning from, and maybe we're working to sort of copy in so many ways, but that's all of us, right? Good artists borrow, the best steal, and how to develop our own art of life, right? And be good with the bad art we put out there.
Yeah. I was actually, you know who Alex Hormozi is? So he's a big business marketing sales guy. And he said something that I heard the other day where he said, the key to making your own art is to first learn the art of other artists. And then he said, you learn 3 or 4 or 5 different styles of art. And then you take from those the things that impact you, and then you can create your own. And I think that that's a really good corollary to health and fitness, right? We talked earlier about there being so many different people out there. Listen to all the different people. Take the things from each of those people that seems like it applies to you or hits you in the feels or whatever it may be. And then you can make your own art out of your fitness and nutrition and kind of figure out how all these different people are telling you things that are going to make your specific situation better.
So we're born and we're learning from so many others, and we're picking and choosing, and so many people are just afraid to even start. How do you inspire people to start?
There's a few things that go into that. Number one reason people don't start is fear. And the number one way to overcome fear is to know why you're afraid and to understand what you're afraid of. So knowledge overcomes fear. I've always believed that. And the more you're afraid of something, the more you need to educate yourself on that thing. So if you're afraid of starting Carnivore, learn everything you possibly can about Carnivore until any of the questions that you have about why it may not work or whatever it is you're afraid of are gone. Right? Then you have no excuse, because now you have thousands of people that you can talk to, literally hundreds of thousands at this point, that you can talk to that say, here's why it works. Here's why you need to do it. And the more you expose yourself to that information, not only does it give you info and knowledge, but it reinforces what we call the social proof. And then that's the other level of, well, I don't know what's going to happen. Well, these people are telling you what's going to happen. At some point, you just have to kind of give in to trusting somebody else that this is going to work for you.
So inviting people in and inspiring them to come in, and that it's okay to be afraid and it's okay to fail, because we're all failures. We're all afraid. We all piss, poop, fart, burp, smell.
Yep.
Have bad clothing day, hair days, and everything days, right?
Yeah.
All of us, and how to sort of say, hey, you're welcome in, and it's okay. And some days you may not feel like showing up.
Yeah. So
it's just showing up. And I know for me, I do my 3 a.m. Motion work, but it's hard. But sometimes but once you get like 5 minutes into a row or a ride, and you go slow. And how do you now? Let's see. You're now online. Do you have a typical set routine that you're sort of focus people on, or is
No,
it?
so I have a couple different programs. So I still have the fitness app. So there's two different programs within that. One's a beginner program, one's a functional fitness program. And then I also have like a 12-week lean mass gain program that's specifically designed to help people add muscle. And it doesn't matter age, gender, it doesn't make a difference. It's for everybody. So those are the three main fitness programs that I have. And then I do challenges that are a combination fitness, nutrition, mindset. I'm doing a 10-week women's challenge right now. Tonight, actually, or tomorrow night, I'm starting a 90-day small group men's program. So, and then I do one-on-one. So everything that I do,
the 90-day, what was that? 90-day for men?
I'm doing a 90-day small group for men starting tomorrow night. Yeah. So we've got 5 guys that are signed up. We're doing 90 days, fitness, nutrition, get together once a week and just talk about challenges, work on some mindset things. Try to build the routine. My biggest thing is I want people to understand, one, the need for health and nutrition together. But then 2, understanding how the concepts are applied to their life so they don't need to come back to me every time they have a question, right? I want to teach people how to fish, right? I'm a coach who's about educating, because freedom for your body also means freedom for your mind, right? Quality of life is I want you to be able to take a situation, evaluate it on your own, and then know what you need to do because you know what's best for you. So that's part of my program as well. Like I tell people all the time, I want you to graduate from my programs and never have to work with me again. That's the goal.
So what's the typical time frame for those clients that you bring into your groups?
Yeah, I have some people that have been in the fitness app for maybe 10 to 12 months is usually the length. The groups themselves, the challenges are about 90 days each. So I do a 90-day challenge. They're about 3 months. And then those are just run iteratively. So we run those every couple of months. And then I have a 6-month one-on-one coaching program.
And how do people find you? Where's the best place to get to Coach Bronson Keto?
Yeah, so my handle for Instagram is on the screen, Coach_Bronson_Keto. You can find me on YouTube, online, pretty much Ultimate Ketogenic Fitness. Anywhere is going to bring you to me. So that's my YouTube channel. My book is Ultimate Ketogenic Fitness Book. My website is ultimateketogenicfitness.com.
So tell me a little bit about keto versus carnivore and your take on the world of keto versus carnivore these days.
Yeah. I wish we could get away from names. I really do, because they don't, I think in a lot of cases, they do more harm than good. You know, we talked earlier about it's about removing the crap. So I don't care if you remove the crap and you call it keto. I don't care if you remove the crap and call it carnivore. You know, for all those carnivore Nazis out there, you know, who are like, well, if you have an asparagus on Monday, you're not carnivore. Well, guess what? Technically, 70% animal-based is carnivore. So get over it, you know. And carnivore, for anybody listening, is a ketogenic diet. So this is one of the things that really frustrates me, Doc, is when I post something, because all my branding is ketogenic, whatever, ketogenic fitness, ultimate ketogenic fitness. When I post something in a carnivore group, that's a video that I've done on my channel, Ultimate Ketogenic Fitness, and the responses come back, this guy's keto, he doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm like, oh my gosh, people, do you have any idea what you're saying? Like, the concepts for carnivore, the concepts for keto are all the same. It's about being fat adapted, getting as many nutrients as possible, and removing crap from your body. That's the basics. So for me, I wish we could just get rid of names altogether and go with the nutrient dense diet, or like Dr. Barry says, the proper human diet. If we want to give it a name to something, like those seem to be better for me.
So the proper human diet, as Ken Berry likes to say, the optimal human nutrition, and anything about fasting and number of meals per day. What's your take on that? I say 1 meal a day or less, but occasionally I might do 2. But what's your thoughts on that type of coaching?
Yeah, because I'm about lifestyle, and I think in general, for 99% of the people, they're not getting enough protein and they're not getting enough food in general. They're not getting enough nutrients. So I would prefer, and most of the people I work with, I would prefer that whatever way you can get the nutrients that you need. If it's one meal a day, 2 meals a day, 5 meals a day, I don't care. I have some people who are like, hey, I've been eating 40 grams of protein a day. And I'm like, well, you need to be eating, looking at the numbers, you should be eating about 110. And they're like, there's no way I can do that. I said, well, we need to work up to that. So maybe you need 5 meals a day at 10, 15, 20, 25 grams of protein per meal to get you used to eating that much. And then we can scale it down to 2 or 3 meals a day. I'm much more in the mindset of make your lifestyle, your habits and routines. Like I said before, your habits and routines should support your lifestyle, not the other way around. I don't want someone to be controlled, to have to manage their schedule, to control the way that they live their life by when they have to eat. So
is there an optimal human nutritional way? I say we're built to eat a meal every few days or less because we're built to get fat, because that's our natural human environment was famine and feast. And so, this idea, because our biggest problem tends to be obesity as a visual, not as a real cause of problem, because ultimately, if you're skinny in a famine, you're dead. And getting fat is naturally normal in our life.
Having fat is, I don't know if getting fat, this would be an interesting conversation. I don't know if getting fat is normal. Having fat is normal. And using fat.
Polar bears don't get fat; they die. They don't reproduce. So ultimately, this is the biggest challenge for all of us in this world, is that fat is actually the fuel for the mitochondria, and that's it, nothing else.
Correct.
You convert proteins and sugars in the liver to fat in order to fuel the mitochondria. Glucose and sugars are critical for post-translational protein modification in order to have functional proteins. Otherwise, you die quick. And so we're all confused a little bit, but and that's, I think, the challenge for us in this world of health and wellness, is to understand that the getting fat is completely normal. Being skinny is not. Now, the beauty of the world that we live in today, we have access to food far more than we've ever had. And so we're now looking for the look good environment all the time, which kind of comes down to the coaching. And okay, what are the methods to hold that? Which is, how often do we recommend exercise? Once a day, 3 times a week? These are all the things that we're finding, as you said, what works for individuals. Isn't that what it's really about?
Yeah, that's what it's really about. It always goes back to, why are you doing it and what are you trying to do? Like I said before, with the specific adaptation to impose demand principle, it's, if you want to live this life, then what are the things that you need to do to get yourself to be able to live that life? For some people, that may be 1 meal a day. For other people, that may be 3 meals a day. For some people, that may be higher fat, lower protein. For other people, that may be lower fat, higher protein. And here's the thing, we talked about this as well. That may fit for your life right now, but 2 years from now, that may need to change again. So don't get married to any methodology, because the concepts apply, but how you implement them may change.
Well, it's interesting. My best friend died at 52, a healthy guy that exercised and looked good. Sarah Hallberg just died of pulmonary lung cancer, a healthy gal. My sense is the silent killer is carbohydrates and a lack of eating fat and eating too many meals, because this is where that glycobiome comes in, that layer of the bowels that's damaged from eating too frequently and eating too low of a fat nutrition. So it's kind of really interesting. And I'm still sort of, the conversation is hard to understand,
Sure.
but I'm 66. And as a physician, I see all the diseases.
Mhm.
And the leading thing I think does the very best is fasting. The more you can fast, the less inflammation in the bowels. And when the bowel inflammation is low, the rest of your body's inflammation is low.
Sure. And again, there's the consideration of compared to what. So if you have someone who's been standard American diet for 20 years and they go keto and they reduce their fiber, they go more animal based, they go all whole foods, they're going to see a reduction in carbs. You're going to see a reduction in bowel inflammation. They're going to see a reduction in all of those things. Where does that line need to be in order for them to see the improvement in quality of life that they're looking for?
And no one, that's the hard part, because why you and not me? Why this person, not that person? The miracle of we don't know that answer. But if we're really looking for, it's you need to move to motivate, and you got to get up out of bed, because if you stay in bed or on the couch too long, your muscles just can't do it. The
Sure.
joints begin to sort of get a lot more inflammation and freeze up. So you got to move every day. That's really the motivation that you're telling us.
Because muscle drives metabolism. So the more muscle you have, the longer you live, the more function you have, the less chance of injury you have, the shorter stay in a hospital you're going to have if you have to go in for an operation. I mean, there's so many different things that go with having more muscle. And that's one of the things when it comes to the combination of fitness and nutrition that I really want people to understand. Like, you can't build muscle if you're not moving your body.
And one of the beauties I think is what you're saying is that the coaching today, I think we all need a coach and a cheerleader, like we need a teacher, a motivator, a mentor. That's the critical key. And the beauty is today, you can log on with Coach Bronson on a regular basis. You could get into a group, because that's the whole intention of why I do my lives is because number one, it's I want to be part of a group, because I love the group context, and we all find something that motivates us in the day. And whether it's veganism, vegetarianism, Mediterraneanism, pescatarian, or carnivorian, you got to find the thing for you today.
Yes.
And yet there is something that is the one. And that's the fun part of the story, right? We all are motivated to tell our story of what that one thing is.
Sure. Well, I use the target analogy. If you've ever gone shooting or archery or anything like that, you got the target, the circles with the red dot in the middle. And in the middle of that dot, we can call, say, undefined. We don't know what that is. Let's just say, and we're going to put words in there. It's going to say the optimal human diet. Right? We don't know what that is. It's a circle in the middle of the target. We're all at different areas around that target. Right? We're coming from different angles. One half of that target is vegans. One half of that target is keto. One half of that target is paleo. One half of that target is, or a quarter of that target is Whole30, right? Whatever it may be, we're all taking shots, and we're trying to get as close to the center of that target as possible. And sometimes we're on, sometimes we're off, and we're all shooting as many times as possible to get to what is going to be as close to center for us.
As a physician, carnivore is the game changer.
Yes.
I see it everywhere. And carnivore is a high fat nutrition, because eating animal fat reduces inflammation and protects the glycobiome. The microbiome is killing us, and you should not take probiotics. They're deadly.
Yeah, well, it's also removing the other stuff, right? Not eating the fiber, not eating carbs, not eating the plants with all the anti-nutrients, all that other stuff is also affecting that.
It is critical. We're a little bit, Bronson, on spirituality, faith. Where do you talk about that in your groups at all, or
not nearly as much? Nat handles all the woo-woo stuff. I'm more mindset. So I'm much more of my background is in engineering. So I'm much more of a ones and zeros kind of guy. and I look at things and I try to break things down in a way that helps people understand the effect of what we're thinking in our mind to how it actually applies to real life. I don't get into the spirituality too much. When we're together, when we're working, we get into that a little bit, but not usually myself.
Well, as a scientist, a one and zeros guy and a math guy, I had to figure out the God. And when I realized God is us, it's all perfect.
Okay.
And we are the gods. And so in some way, our spiritual nature is the vibration of those ones and zeros, right? It's the on and off switch. It just keeps up, but it's never on and it's never off. It's always in between in some way.
Sure.
So that's
I do think that there is evidence of, and there's something in the idea of what you focus on is what you realize, right? So if you're focused on negativity, then you're always going to have negativity in your life. If you're focused on a positive mindset and a growth mindset and moving forward and trying to improve your quality of life, then that's what's going to happen in your life. So, I mean, that is part of stuff that I do talk about.
Which ultimately is God. Ultimately, you know, like you said, we label things, right? Which diet. Yeah. But by labeling anything, we enable it and use the word God, and people go like, oh my God, or they go, yeah. And so we're just simply labeling things, and ultimately you don't need to, but ultimately we all need a coach. We all need a cheerleader. We all need someone to sort of I'm going to poke the bear, but be the inspiration, give us the guidance, direction, show the art that maybe we should be working on. Is there anything, Bronson, that I haven't brought up, mentioned, or that you're going to say, Kiltz, you're crazy, or hey, you forgot this?
No, I do want to, you talk about carnivore as a high fat diet. And I'm just curious what you mean by that, because I think that could be a relative discussion. High fat compared to what? So because this is a conversation I have with people all the time, they talk about ketogenic macros. It's like, well, keto macros are this. It's like, well, is it really? Because to me, a ketogenic diet means that I'm producing ketones, not that I have ketones. There's a difference. And I don't have to eat 80% fat in order to be ketogenic.
No. The first of all, ketogenic is all just one of those labels that you mentioned. Right. And my grandmother lived 104, my parents 94, and they didn't do any of this stupid shit. Okay. Plus, right. They never exercised. They did not exercise.
Yep.
Right. See, I say excessive exercise is deadly. Don't do it. You want to move, you want to lift, you want to resist. You want to move that which you resist in order to persist. That is really critical in life.
Yep.
But you're right. Look at eating fat is really the critical part. Is it 80%? Is it 20%? Is it 90%? I don't even know what a gram or a calorie is. Like I think ultimately you will die without fat. If you have no fat on your body, you're anorexic, and fat and fertilization of plants happens quickly for you. You become the fertilizer. So I just kind of talk about a true carnivore keto. I mean, as we've labeled it, paleo is 60% to 70% of your calories from fat. Keto is supposed to be 70, 80% of your calories from fat. And on average, about 20% of our calories come from protein. So our real requirements, there are only two nutrients that are essential if we talk about food. It's amino acids and it's fatty acids. Mm-hmm. There's no requirement to ever eat a carbohydrate, a plant, a fruit, a fiber, a seed, or a nut, ever. Right. Really, we should be eating fatty meat. And lions, most strict killer carnivores, the predators, they gut first. They go for the organ meats and the fat in the core, which is critical. We're not doing that. And that's something we all should be doing on a regular basis. But again, lean protein is not good for us in any significance, because a lot of people eat a carnivore, but they eat a lean protein diet. Now, if in the short term you're working to lose the fat and gain the muscle, that's one thing. But over the long term, fatty meat is the healthiest thing you can ever eat. And that's what we should all be doing without measuring calories, without like macros, without grams. That's because ultimately we want to stop being so neurotic in life. We want to just enjoy life. We want to have a good conversation with Kiltz and Bronson, right? And Nat and Barry and everyone, even if sometimes we're going to differ, because that's good too, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with being different, guys. That's what makes it special.
I mean,
because if we were all the same, then it'd be boring. Number one. Number two, it would only work for certain people because we're not the same.
But our cells are.
Right. Exactly. Don't even get me started on the whole bio-individuality thing. I'm different and you're different. And
no. Our names are different. Our looks are different. That's the beauty of it. But that is, we are different. And that's, as you said, your focus is on the individual of what they want. Isn't that it?
Yeah.
Right. But there is one thing you did say. We all want to look good.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah.
But looking good does not mean being lean and mean.
No.
You could be labeled by obese, but you're capable of moving and motivating, and you've got a smile, and you've got the energy that you've learned from Coach Bronson. Right?
Hey, that works. Yeah, for sure. It's about being happy and being able to be free. I'm a freedom guy, right? If you look at the back of my shirt, which I'm not going to turn around right now, but fitness is freedom. And your ability to do what you want to do when you want to do it without limitations because you can.
Yeah.
That's what it's about.
All right. All right. I think I've asked you everything I can. Once again, the book. What's the name of the book?
Yep. The Ultimate Ketogenic Fitness Book. It's basically all of my experience of coaching. So over 10 years of coaching, a lot of the core methods, techniques, concepts, philosophies, principles, it's all jammed in there. So get it. It's like having me in your back pocket, and hopefully it helps you out.
All right. All right. And Coach Bronson, Keto, God bless you, my friend. It is really a pleasure. We're going to have you on again. And because we have to have, the back and forth conversation is so important and critical in this. So
yeah.
Again, God bless. Thanks. Our Instagram on Doc Kiltz, we're doing it not the best way, but it works today. So again, God bless to everyone. Have an awesome, amazing day. Take care, Coach.
Take it easy.